In this video, I'm going to be upgrading one of my least favorite structures in Minecraft, that being the witch hut, or the swamp hut. So we call it the swamp hut despite there being witches.
You know, one thing I should... Excuse me for 1 second. Of course.
Now, I don't think this is the worst structure in Minecraft, period, because there's obviously worse. But to me, it just screams of missed potential, so I'm going to try my best to remedy that. Or well, tried. You see, I already made a video on improving the desert well, and in that video I left a little comment saying that I started working on improving the swamp hut, but I was unable to finish it in time for the upload. And then I deleted all of my footage. I think I've learned a lot watching it back, and I want to try something new, right? So this video is going to be firmly divided into two sections. Firstly, the brainstorming part. I am still going to record my live thought process, but I'm going to try to edit it down incredibly and just like summarize at the end, make a checklist of bullet points, things that I want to achieve, and then try to follow it in my build. Another unique thing is I'm not going to be starting with the original swamp hut. I'm going to be starting with this. The first thing that I'm going to talk to you about is what inspired this. The more cultured in the audience probably recognize this as the, I swear it has a name, I just can't ever find it. It's a little witch hut on chicken legs, okay, it's a big part of folklore. And the inspiration was, okay, we started with wooden materials, so how about the entire thing being wooden? Little carved legs, a little bit of inspiration from Witch Hat Atelier. They have this incredibly cool fantasy, like, mobility aid wheelchair design, except it's not a wheelchair, it's just like carved animal legs that move around. It's just like chef's kiss, okay? The actual shape of it is inspired by those kinds of... there was one Pinterest image I saw, I hope I saved it. It's like a funny little... I want it to be like more dynamic. I know we're in the block game, but that doesn't mean every single house needs to just be a boring square. These little leaves I use in place of feathers. I think that's really like a fun design choice. And then I use different kinds. I used spruce leaf and oak leaf so that it kind of has the vibe of being shaded. Same thing, that was the same idea between these two wood types, but I think it worked maybe a little bit less well here, but we can pretend it's texture. So the issues that I tried to solve with this design is, number one, it was a very boring concept in my opinion. It was basically just a square wooden house with like some stilts in the water. So I thought, okay, how do I change the shape to make it a little bit more inspired? And I thought of using wooden legs, wooden chicken legs as the stilt that it will be standing on. Then I also had an issue with the kind of monotony of the block palette. There's nothing necessarily wrong with having things that are monochrome, and not even wrong with having things that are just one big color, right? It depends on what you want to achieve, and what I wanted to achieve was something that would look cool in a thumbnail, and just a monolith of dark oak doesn't look super incredible in a thumbnail. So I wanted to change that. I wanted to make the shapes a little bit more interesting. I wanted to shade it, just a lot of like different building techniques to make it a little bit more appealing. I don't really want to use the word good because I will use it because it's just so ingrained into like my vocabulary, so I apologize for that, but I don't think it's very helpful to necessarily like decide, oh, this looks good and this doesn't look good. When I say something looks good, it's more like, I think this works for what I'm trying to achieve, right? Things can be ugly and still be like well made and have artistic merit. That's an important point that like a lot of people who aren't like super experienced in art don't really understand, I would say. So, oh, do you like this? Okay. So that's something that I want to reiterate just to clear up the misconception. Wow, I've been yapping. Okay. On to why I'm not just finishing this build. I kind of don't I've realized some kind of issues here that I want to fix. So number one, I think this leg is not dynamic enough. It feels very stiff. And it makes sense because you can't really get a ton of like dynamic movement, right? You are working with squares. Squares are very geometric, very still, very stationary, at least in my opinion. But that doesn't mean that you can't remedy it. It just means you need to try extra hard to make it feel organic and not like just a mess of still carved things. I want it to look like it can move, which will be difficult because organics are my worst nightmare. Most people's worst nightmare. They are difficult, especially in this medium, because this medium kind of works against you with that. So I definitely want to try a more dynamic pose. Maybe make a second leg, because it's kind of difficult to pose with one leg, or maybe take inspiration from like flamingos. That could be interesting. Additionally, the shape, I'm not really happy with the shape. I do think it's an interesting shape. It's an interesting idea. I just think it needs to be smoothed out a little. I also didn't get far enough to, you know, do texturing and a ton of shading and interior and the detail work. So that's just implicitly something that I'm going to be trying to improve. Oh yeah, I also wanted to take inspiration from chicken roosts? Huts? The place where chickens live. Okay, I can't remember the name. Because they have these like funny little ladders the chickens hop on. And what I thought we could do is make a massively elongated one going all the way to the ground, so that, you know, you can actually access it from the bottom, and it's a little funny like design excuse, justification kind of for it being there, right? Like, okay, you could have like a slime block launcher to get you up here, but you can make it look better and fit in more cohesively with the design if it's something like that, I think. And I just thought it was a cute idea, right? We're already doing the chicken leg, we're already doing like vaguely resembling the chicken hut, so why not just take it all the way through? Also, last thing, I needed to have windows, okay? Now, I was wrong when I said in my real estate video that the hut doesn't have windows. It does have a window, but the window is one of those like, it's just one block of fence, and it's, you know, it's trying to do like the cross thing that sometimes windows have, and I think there's better ways to do that than, how long has it been since that was introduced? Swamp Hut Minecraft Wiki History Java Edition 1.42 2012. Oh my god, okay, that I'm not looking at that anymore. So to review, I forgot all my points. This is why I need to record things, but there's gonna be like a little checklist in my footage, I hope. Pay attention to this part, okay? If you tuned out for everything else, that's fine. Just look at this so that you're on track to understand why I'm gonna be building what I'm gonna be building once I start building. I need to get to school in like the 40 minutes, so I'll see ya. The first thing that I'm gonna try to design is the ladder, because that's gonna indicate like the floor plan and size of all of the other things. I have like a rough idea of how to build a chicken leg or how to build a house in basically any scale. But I don't know how to make the ladder walkable and also look nice. I've been looking at references of like real life chicken coops, and they're not like the best looking things in the world, because chickens don't have aesthetic sensibilities directed towards ladders. But I might have an idea. We would use logs for the... We would create a log. We would create a log as the two little supporting pillars, and then the rungs of the ladder would be out of planks. But I'm realizing now it's gonna be difficult to make a diagonal looking log and not look bad. I mean, I can use oak wood, but that's that feels kind of like cheating. Is oak wood like a creative exclusive item actually? I never checked. Oh no, you can get it in survival, okay. In that case, it's gonna be trivial. We need to create a diagonal circle in Minecraft. Maybe it's not gonna be absolutely trivial. How does wood look like? How does a wooden stick look like diagonally? It like kind of digs in, right? So it's like... This looks kind of wonky. So I think I probably need to build it a little taller. It's not bad, it just doesn't look good. Now why doesn't it look good? It's because the ones towards the back are way smaller than the ones towards the top, so it looks kind of top heavy. And while that is how it would look in the real world, it's not how it would look good, I think. Right? Because in real life, it wouldn't be that sharp of a change. It would just be kind of gradual, something more like this, right? So if it doesn't look good, that'll be an issue. Right? Because I've chosen such kind of like a very large scale for this, and I'm already regretting it. This better look amazing in a thumbnail, I tell you. I'm afraid this looks absolutely horrible. And it's so many blocks too. Right, it's super like monotonous, just bad. And to change it, I would have to just like manually break so many blocks that I don't want to do. And it's not even like to scale with this or anything else that I would do. Can I do something smaller maybe? Can I do like because like the usual scale, right, would be to just use a normal oak log. But this isn't quite the scale that I need. I need it just a little bit bigger, so that it makes sense for it to be all the way up here, and so that I can actually like make it look good diagonally. Or alternatively, you could just make it go straight down, but that feels kind of lame. That feels like the easy way out. What are we thinking about this one? It's kind of, it's enough where you can make a gradient. Okay. It would be nice if I could get a... Well, I guess the shadow wouldn't really exist here because this entire thing is just one flat plane. How does the shadow even work in Minecraft? I think it makes more sense than the dark oak wood, but at like a distance, it's difficult to tell what it's doing. With the dark oak, like at a distance, you go, oh, it's the shadow. And with this, when you're close up, it doesn't really look good. And when you're far away, it also doesn't really look good. Yeah, I don't know how to make this. This is tough. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. I replaced the top part with the stripped spruce wood and the bottom with the jungle wood. And I think at this scale, it feels a lot more like an actual shadow, maybe. Suddenly I'm just very, very unsure of what to do with this. I had like an idea, I just didn't really make it work in practice, and now I'm kind of suffering the consequences for that. Fascinating. I feel like I'm being watched. I have made the floor plan into a chicken egg. I also neglected to mention that I finished the little staircase. I tried to use like alternating colors to make it kind of seem like actual wood rungs that chickens would hop on, but it also needs to be obviously like walkable. So, you know, I'm not gonna make people jump every other block. That just feels really annoying. Alright, so I think I got done working on the two little legs. I also started using birch leaves just as like a little bit more texture around some of the blocks, just to give more visual interest. The oak leaves, honestly, I do understand that like basically this entire thing would be in shadow, right? Because it would be covered by this little platform. So I just kind of used it to break up the top part here to signify like a kind of division visually, like, oh, this is where that part ends, this is where the other one starts, to make the transition from this to this a little bit smoother. I'm kind of cheating a little bit. I don't know if it's allowed. Maybe the Minecraft building police is gonna break down my door, but I don't know. I'm happy with it for now. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do the more dynamic thing because, well, it's so huge that I don't think I can do that, and also it's kind of like an awkward angle, right? But I'm gonna try my best. I might try to make this diagonal more pronounced, but we'll see. My biggest issue is that just this stairway is at a really awkward angle. It's too big for one, and it's also not like, it's not diagonal enough to really get the vibe that I wanted to get. But I don't know if I want to break the entire thing again. Wow, look, I forgot how pausing and unpausing works, so this is just footage of me doing random stuff while watching a video essay. Look, I'm placing leaves, I'm making the shape. Wow, look, those legs are amazing, aren't they? I did the little pose that birds do sometimes. It looks incredible. Tell me it looks incredible right now. Tell me it looks incredible right now. Right this instant. Write the comment. I swear to God, if I don't see at least one comment like that, I'm going to do something. Alright, so I think I've managed to do something about the shape. It's still a little bit awkward just because it needs a staircase so that it's actually accessible, which I don't love, but you take what you can get, and I think if you look at it from like a distance, it looks pretty okay, right? I think, given how awkward of a shape it had to be, it's disguised pretty well. I kept the, you know, started with the stripped spruce wood, went to oak, went to jungle for the shadows. I think normal spruce wood is just a little bit too dark. Normal spruce logs, right? I did also do this little thing for the center of the tree. I think that's kind of cute. It's, you know, it's trying to emulate the little tree ring in the center, but at a much larger scale. And I added just some like tiny little details, tiny little railing. I don't want to go like too crazy on the details because this is just such a huge structure that I think it would be like just too much to take in. I think this is like a nice middle point where, you know, you look at it from a distance and you can take in the entire shape, but it doesn't like look super monotonous, at least not to me. You can approach it very easily. Here I just marked out the center where I'm gonna start building the actual hut itself, although at this scale it's probably gonna look more like a mansion. I was looking for some inspiration on Pinterest as well, and I found a lot of designs that use this kind of witch hat for the roof, which I think could be very cute. So I think I'm gonna try to incorporate that as well, but I'm not sure if I go for that or if I go for like a more traditional shaped roof. It depends. I'll experiment with the shape a little bit more and see what happens. But so far, I am really liking this, and I don't think I regret giving it another go. I think even just like the legs, I'm really happy with, right? That I could get the little bend, the little crook in one of the legs. So yeah, if I can just tie it together, build the actual thing, not just the pedestal, I think this could be a really nice build. So I think this might be a nice overall shape for it, for just the base. I like how it looks like from the bottom. I do think this kind of keeps the same idea with like two big little eyes. This kind of looks like a chicken beak. It's cute. You know, it's a little bit of a callback to this. And I'm gonna start working on the kind of hat roof, or at least I wanted to. And I'm kind of unsure if I should make it out of wood or something else, because I am using a lot of wood. Sure, if you look at it from the side, you have a lot of green, but just like the first thing you see from like the bottom is just this massive big wooden trunk. Actually, that could be cool. Make the top not just shaped as a witch head, but make it out of leaves, so it resembles a tree in its entire structure. That's cool. I'm gonna try to do that, yeah. Okay. So originally I wanted to make this drooping part of the witch head go here to the right, because this is the one big kind of asymmetry that we have. The weight is on the right leg, or the left leg, so it makes sense that it would be leaning that direction. But actually what I'm realizing is I can make it go out into the front, and then I can hang a lantern from it so that it illuminates the little part, the face of it, and it looks kind of inviting, and it also kind of resembles one of those deep sea anglerfish. So that's just like another cool little design element we can stack into this. So I think I'm gonna try to make that work. I don't know about this shape, this specific swoop. I feel like there's something wrong with it, but I probably won't know until I finish the entire roof. The actual roof so far, I think it looks okay. Obviously, I'm gonna use different kinds of leaves because this is just one big blob of green, but so far I'm really happy with the shape. Yep, this seems pretty good to me. I feel like the shape might be a little bit wonky. Like it's a little too heavy on the top and too thin on the bottom. But I kind of like the idea of it being like an unnatural, physics-defying shape. Like it's not moving how fabric is supposed to be moving. It's just like a massive, magical tree crown that looks like kind of awkward. And it's also an excuse not to break the entire thing and do it again. Yeah, this is cute. I like this. I know I could have done a lot more with the detailing on the actual building itself, but given the fact that it's already doing so much, I didn't want to like take too much attention from the general shape. I just thought it would be too busy. I think I'm pretty happy with this. The only thing that I probably need to change is add a little bit of texture to this, and yeah, that might be it. Maybe I like fill the actual hat up with wooden logs to make it seem more like it's a tree. And I'm also not doing the interior. You saw the previous clip. I'm not focusing on that right now. Yeah. I'm just really happy just looking at it. You know? Just having a really nice time. I also decided to start building with oak leaves on the top part instead of spruce like I did on the bottom part, because I think naturally I'm just gonna have more spruce down here, more oak up here, and the stuff that's gonna be down is supposed to be darker, right? Because we're pretending it's in shadow. Yep, that's a bit better. And that's also a little bit better. For reference, I just went inside and I just put so many log blocks. It's not even I just went ham on it. But you know, if this was like a more important thing for me, I'd probably, you know, spend time making the interior. If this was like an actual base or something that I would be building in my world, I would probably add some more texture, more design, more stuff like that, so that it looks better once you're like walking through it as well. Because, right, I mean, this is kind of just like an imposing staircase. It is a little annoying, maybe, to just walk up it every 5 seconds. So if I was building this in my personal survival world, I would probably build it like a little bit higher, build a tiny egg on the bottom, and turn it into a bubble column elevator, just so that I could skip this part. And I wouldn't even have to build this bridge. I would just have this big ladder. And obviously interior design, right? I use tinted glass, because my impression is like, okay, if I'm a witch and I have my cool little hut, I don't want people to see what I'm doing in there. And you can absolutely see what you're doing in there, but like the font is nice, right? The font is nice. The one downside is that, you know, creatures of the night would spawn all the time, so probably use either lanterns or like shroom lights, probably, right? Because they're more like they have like biologic vibes. It's like, wow, it's a natural tree that's all glowy and stuff, right? So that could be cute. But yeah, I think that's everything. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I will say it kind of went against the vision of just being a tiny little improvement. I said on my Twitter, my finger slipped, I accidentally made a mega base. This isn't quite a mega base, but it is. It's like an honorary one, especially compared to this, which was my last quote-unquote building project. So to be clear, I don't think this is how the witch hut or the swamp hut should look like. This is just me like doing a creative building exercise, taking an existing structure, seeing what I can do with it, and just make it look like this. If you're actually changing it, make it look like this. I think this is a lot less imposing than this. Make it look like this. Make it look like this. And give it windows. If you do nothing, give it like actual glass pane windows. They don't have to be tinted. They don't have to be stained, but that could be a bonus. Actually, yeah, add stained cauldrons to Java Edition and make it so that you can stain glass by using stained cauldrons, and have stained glass in the swamp hut as like a quote-unquote tutorial for that game mechanic, because we know Minecraft loves to have these really subtle tutorials that don't actually teach you anything. One last thing, I'm probably gonna look at how it looks like during the nighttime. Okay, that's not bad. So yeah, I'm imagining, right, you're walking along and your eyes just dart to this imposing structure. It kind of looks like a castle, kind of looks like a tree. There's a little part that's like orange, the orange chain. I like it because it's, you know, it's a place for your eyes to focus on immediately, right? It's a little bit of contrast. And as you walk up, it kind of disappears from view. You don't exactly know where you're going. And then here, you're kind of like enveloped by the witch hut. It feels nice in my opinion because it feels very much like this is kind of like a separate place to the outside world, right? Because the roof is low, it's very intimate, dark. It's quite nice in my opinion. And then here you would have, you know, your cauldrons, your brewing stands, your chests, your beds, just your actual interior design that I'm too lazy to do because I don't like interior designing. I'm sorry. I'm too bad at understanding feng shui to do that, but you know, this is good. I think maybe you'd disagree. Maybe you'd have some other ideas. Tell me what those are. I've been working on this for like longer than I would like. Like maybe that's the reason why I didn't upload last week. I just wasn't still done with this. But I think it was worth it. And yeah, that's all from me. Like and subscribe for more stuff, more different stuff too. This might be like one of the. I have maybe like 2 different ideas for building videos, and then after that it's just gonna be a bunch of different stuff.